Mr. Harris here, and welcome to a new video. In this video, we're going to wrap up this part of how we can balance chemical equations and do some summary questions. So let us recall, to balance a chemical equation, the total number of atoms in the reactant side should be the same as that in the product side. So the reactant side was what I was saying is the left-hand side of the equation, left-hand side of the arrow, and the product side here, this is where I was saying is the right-hand side of the arrow or right-hand side of the equation. And the total number of atoms should match from the left and right. So let us do some checkpoint questions of this whole topic. So first off, they're asking a question about elements, compounds, and mixtures. Soft drink is a compound of water, sugar, flavorings, and colorings. Is that true or false? Of course, this is false because it's a mixture of the four different substances: water, sugar, flavorings, and colorings. It's a mixture, not a compound. Because a compound is chemically joined together, but these four substances, they're just mixed together. On the other hand, we have table salt here. Table salt, we know it is sodium chloride. And I give you a hint that just by looking at the name, you can guess whether it's a mixture or not. So sodium chloride here is a mixture of sodium and chlorine. Is that true? Of course not. We know that it's a compound because when we chemically combine sodium and chlorine together, you would get sodium chloride when we chemically combine them. So this is also false. One C. Iron nails are made from the element iron. Is that true? Of course. Of course it's true. Iron nails are obviously made from iron. So, yeah, it is true. Now, balancing chemical equations. For the reaction between sodium and chlorine, so these two are the reactants to form sodium chloride. So this is exactly what we were, one of the questions here, yep, this question about table salt was asking about this. So let's try to balance it. So sodium here is Na, and it reacts together with chlorine. So it reacts with is the addition sign. Chlorine here, let's say I'm going to use blue, it's Cl2. To form, remember I told you you have to translate these words into these chemical equations. So to form, it means the right arrow reaction between was the positive. So right, the arrow facing the right side, and NaCl, perhaps I'll use purple. So NaCl. So now our first job is to see whether the atoms on the left, that means the reactant side, whether it is matching to the right hand side, which is the product side. So first up, sodium, how many sodium atoms are there? Is there any two here? No. That means it's just by itself, so there's just one sodium atom. How many chlorine atoms are there? So obviously you see there's a number 2. So there are 2 chlorine atoms on the left-hand side. How about on the right-hand side here? There's one, just one sodium atom. And how many chlorine atoms? Also, just one chlorine atom. So is this equation balanced? Obviously not, because you can see the number of chlorine atoms, they are not balanced. So how can I balance them? So I need to balance them by adding another chlorine atom. So how do I add another chlorine atom? It's easy. I just added 2, which is the coefficient in front of NaCl. But don't forget, as I mentioned, there is an imaginary bracket here. There is an imaginary bracket. Now, what does this imaginary bracket mean? It would mean that it is having 2 times of Na and having 2 times of Cl, right? So now let me change it. Let me change this bit. It's not one sodium atom anymore. There are 2 sodium atoms. Maybe I'll add the S here. And it's not 2 chlorine atoms anymore. It's not 1 chlorine atom anymore. There are 2 chlorine atoms. Now, does it match with the left-hand side now? You will need to always double check because anything you change on the right, on the product side, you might need to change on the reactant side as well. So chlorine atoms, you can see for now, these two are perfectly balanced. But now the sodium atom, that's the problem now. So don't worry. What you're going to do is now you're going to balance the sodium atom on the left because there's one here only and there are two here. So simple, how can you balance it? You add a 2. Now guys, please don't add the 2 here at the bottom. It's always when you're balancing, all right? When you're balancing, you're always going to balance by adding the coefficient to the front. You're adding it to the front, so you're going to add it here. So now how many sodium atoms do you have? Remember, this is 2 times the whole thing. And how many sodium atoms are here? Remember I said there's a 1 here, but we don't write it. So it's just 2 times 1, which is 2. So now you have 2 sodium atoms as well. So this matches with our original left-hand side, also matches with our right-hand side. So this is the chemical formula. But remember in the exam, please don't write me these arrows randomly on the top and the imaginary bracket. As I said, these are imaginary. It's just to help you. So at the end, I should just see a very clear chemical equation like this. 2Na plus Cl2 to form 2NaCl. Okay, so that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.